As we are talking about unanswered prayer this week, we've been working through several things that will increase our discernment. So, if I'm going to be under the influence of Jesus, I must be asking God to cultivate my discernment about this rhythm of life that I'm developing with God. Sometimes we're developing a rhythm that tells us when we think God's not giving us what we want, it's because he recognizes there's something much deeper that we need. And so when I'm praying for my wants, I'm not getting it, then he wants to give me something that I need character-wise. We'll look at that a bit today, tease that idea out a bit more. We also talked this week about sometimes our timing is just off. And so it's a matter of perseverance and just continuing to seek God if we've not sensed him directing us in a different way. Today, I want to talk about something James mentions in James chapter 5, or chapter 4, actually. He says, when you ask, you do not receive, because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. James kind of nails this one. He says, your motive is wrong. You ask and you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures, right? This kind of ties a little bit. This is similar to the when our request is wrong. It's a wrong request, but there's something deeper that he wants us to look at. What's my motivation for what I'm seeking and I want to get? We said in the first instance that when we're cognizant of our wants, we can have greater discernment to recognize is this a want or a need, right? I'm trying to discern that. If it's a want, it doesn't mean I can't ask God for it, but he is not necessarily going to just give it to me because I want it, because he's concerned about something deeper. Secondly, if my timing's off, it's not a matter of managing my wants, it's a matter of managing my weight. Sometimes we've got to manage our wants. Am I wanting the right thing? Other times we've got to manage our weight. God, help me to be patient, Lord. And right, I didn't get into this situation overnight. I'm not going to get out of it overnight. Lord, help me be patient. What are you doing in me in this while I wait? This third one is whenever there's something that we really want and we waited a long time for it, maybe God's dealing with our motivation. So he wants us to look under the surface and ask ourselves, why is it that I want this? What's my motivation? And seek God to purify us. In 1 Timothy, Paul says, the goal of our command is love, which comes from a pure heart, a good conscience, and a sincere faith. All that stuff he's saying, that this goal, and that's a great thing to think about whenever we're praying. What's the goal of my prayer? Is it to accomplish love? In Galatians chapter 5, verse 6, I believe it is, the Apostle Paul says, what matters most, this is big, is faith expressing itself through love. That's the biggest thing, faith expressing itself through love. So the goal of our command is love. So is my prayer, is my motivation describing love? Does my motivation have anything to do with love being accomplished? That's a great question to ask ourselves. And sometimes we got to wrestle to figure out our motivation. I remember the story of Jacob in the Old Testament, in Genesis. And Jacob was easily deceived, and he was an accomplished deceiver. He was deceived by the wrong things because his motive was often wrong. And then he turned that and would deceive others to try to manipulate and get what he wanted. God is always concerned about our motivation. So, if you feel like you're making some requests, look a little deeper that are not getting answered. Look a little deeper and ask yourself, what's my motive? Why do I want this? Why am I asking for this? Does it have anything to do with me giving love to someone else receiving love, me being a better conduit of love, because that is at the heart of what God is always doing. He's always wanting to refine, seeking to refine in us our ability to live and love like Jesus. Lord God, Jacob had to wrestle with you to gain understanding about his motivation. So empower us if this season is one where we're wrestling and we're praying. God, help us to see what's under the surface. What's driving our desires? What's motivating our behavior? What's motivating our requests? Purify our hearts today, Lord. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. God bless.